Hi, everyone, to episode 27. It's January 3rd, 2020. This is the first episode of this new year. I have actually a big list of things I want to talk about. I'm going to start with a few quick bad things that happened this past year and then move on quickly to the good things that happened, which are plenty, to be honest. So there's plenty to be grateful about, even though the year could have gone a little better financially. But overall, I think it was a good setup for maybe what's to come. And then I'll move on to what I've been doing recently and what I'm currently doing now. So first, I want to start that. I can't talk. This is live, so this is my first one. Can't make a lot of mistakes, but if I do, just forgive me ahead of time. So first things first, I want to give out a big shout out to my highest uh, patron, biggest patron on Patreon. I started a Patreon page. So I want to start with thanking Jace Richardson, who's running RepoGuard, that protects your GitHub RepoGuard protects your GitHub repositories from common mistakes that cost time and energy to fix, whether it's forced pushes to master or just bad commit messages. RepoGuard can help. Visit repoguard.com for more info. So yeah, thanks, Jace. I appreciate your support on Patreon, man. So a few quick things that were bad, I guess, last year. Probably they were good in a way. So I had talks with two angel investors, sort of around the same amount. One was bigger than 20. It was around March or April. I think it was more than $20,000. And then the other one was just recently around October, November. It was for $20,000. And they both didn't go past closing, I guess. The second was I felt was a little bit closer to closing. There was more interest. Didn't go through. The first one, the person, the angel investor, he was based in New York. He just ghosted me, so he never replied or anything, which was pretty bad. But on looking back, is probably a good thing that happened. So and then I applied to Tiny Seed twice. So I guess there's four failures, and in the department of raising funds. So the first Tiny Seed application that I made was their first call, which was when the year started. I had just launched Claritask and didn't have many clients, no users whatsoever, no revenue. I applied then. Um, the um, the rejection was expected, and then I applied again this past December, and they sent the email saying that they're not interested to move past my application. I was talking to a few friends who actually applied to it and they had interviews, and their MRRs are bigger than mine, much bigger than mine. So, I was thinking they are somebody that's sort of proven already. Even though their application says you should have something between $0 to $1,000 in MRR, I think what's probably happening, they're getting a lot of more quality applications, and I can't blame them if they're looking for an opportunity that is more ready to get closer to the ARR that they're looking for. And I think what they're looking for is at least $1 million per year, so about 80 some thousand per month. So if that opportunity shows in their front step, I think they will take it, and they can look past startups or products like mine. One thing I liked about Tiny Seed was that Rob runs it, and I respect a lot of what they've done, and I followed their podcast. So I think that was one of the reasons that I wanted to have sort of Rob by my side, sort of guiding me as I navigate the bootstrapping world as I grow Claritask. But that didn't happen, so I will continue on my own. So let me move on to good things. So I launched Claritask, which was very big for me because I coded it myself. Not that I wanted to do that, but it was more of necessity because I couldn't afford developers. I had spent all my money in previous products, and I was working with client work and having a family, so there was no other way but to teach myself coding and build Claritask from scratch and launch it. So I launched it, and then I think 17 days later, I got my first paying client, which was huge. It was a friend of mine who runs a company that is VC backed. They have about $8.7 million in investment so far, and they brought their entire team to Claritas, which was really cool. And then after that person, three other payments happened quite quickly, and I already had some users because I had invited a few companies that I'm friends with to use Claritas free forever, so they don't have to pay regardless of how many people they're growing to, because they came in my alpha stage and they were very instrumental in guiding sort of my feature build and how they were using it. So it was their responses were very valuable, and that helped me a lot. So they're on the free tier. Revenue wise, I made about 1546, so $1,546 from Claritas in total. So this is pre-tax, pre-stripe fees. So that's the actual number. So 1,546, which is not that bad, but it's not what I wanted. I wish I had more. Um, February, I have a goal to have been at 500. We're in January right now, so if I reach 500 by the end of February, that would be a miracle. So let's see what happens. And then I had about $300 in ads from a few ads that I ran in this podcast back in September and October. Another good thing is that currently Claritas is at 75 daily active users, which is pretty cool, I think. So 75 people use Claritas on a daily basis. They're actually inside the app. And then weekly, I think it's about 120. So 120 different users come to Claritas to manage their tasks, etc. And then one important thing was that I truly embraced the bootstrapping sort of way of building products. Even though I was saying it before, I was still looking for investment in a way, even though I wanted to run it as a sort of small-ish company where I make the decision. I don't rush anything, because I think even if you're on Tiny Seed, or any other one, the investor is gonna want their money back somehow. So even though their mantra might be that they're sort of taking it easier, etc., it's still you need to be working with goals, which is not a problem, but sometimes I feel that could inhibit what the product could be. I don't know. Could be true. So, anyways, I truly embrace that way of building a product. So, financing it myself with the money I make from client work, which I was trying to give it up, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I've tried giving it up so many times, but I can't. I need the money to run Claritas. So until Claritas will make around $2,000 per month, or 1,000 at least, I won't be able to truly give up client work, because I have expenses. I have two kids, wife, so we have a lot of expenses, daily expenses, just to live. So I can't really do that until Claritas can support that lifestyle. And then another important thing was that I made a ton of friends who are on the same boat. And one of the big reasons was this podcast. So every time I do an episode, somebody will write me about a thought they had, or an idea they had about something I'm struggling with. It was always about helping me somehow. So there was nobody, asking me about a favor of any kind at all. It's just people, writing me either via Twitter or email and saying, "Hey, I listened to your episode, and then I knew you're trying to do this. So how about you try this?" So that's really cool. So I really like that. And if you're building something, you should really give podcasting a try. It's not easy, because I do it every week, and sometimes you just so burned out and you don't want to do it. But I think it's important to keep up with your promise and be consistent, even if you're going to record like 5-10 minutes just quickly to say what happened, then that's still a good thing. So I encourage you to do it. I'm using Transistor FM to host my podcast, so you can do the same thing. I have about 200 listens at this moment per episode, which is plenty. I'm very lucky. I'm very happy about that. is a lot listens for a single episode. I would have been happier with 30, honestly, just 30 people. So 200 is a little bit a lot, and sort of gives me sometimes the pressure to really find out what to share, the important bits, and not drag on and on like I'm doing right now. So um, let me move on to recently what I've been working on. So I talked about Tiny C, the Angel, and then one thing I wanted to do, which could have changed the way I'm doing bootstrapping, is that I wanted to apply for a loan, a bank loan, and I actually got approved for it. Got asked to go in and sign. But before I did that, I wrote a question on the Mega Maker Club, which I'm a part of, um, and then I actually asked my friends there, saying, the way I'm going to take the loan and what I'm going to do with it. And then a lot of people actually talked me out of it, which I'm very thankful for. So the way I wanted to do it was to get the $20,000 loan, and then uh, actually pay the loan back with the loan. So the idea was this: I would pay back the loan for 450 per month, and then pay myself about 1,200. So in total, that would have been 1,650 per month that I would pay back to the bank. And by the end of the year, that amount would be gone, right? So I will take the $20,000 loan, pay myself, and pay back the loan with the loan. And then on December, I'll be left with no money. And the idea was to push Cleartask in every which way possible that I can to get it to 2K MRR. And if by October I didn't reach that amount, I can pause on Cleartask and then think about other things I can do, either get a remote job or get more client work, etc. And the worst case scenario being that I would be left with a 450 uh, monthly payment for the next 4 years. So that was the idea. So I put my question in Mega Maker group, and then a bunch of people were like, "No, don't do that, because paying the loan with the loan to begin with, that's like an incredible mistake, because you can be left with a bill that you're going to be paying forever. You can't move to other things that you can do. So, and the biggest actual thing was that I Claritas doesn't have a channel yet that is sort of bringing in new clients, bringing in new leads. So I don't have a proven channel, or the product itself doesn't have. I don't feel like it does have a product market fit. So I'm still searching for that. And because of these two things, first one being paying the loan back with the loan, and then the second one, Cleartest not having the proper channel to market itself, it's really risky. So, and I sort of felt that as I was reading the comments, and some comments to actually point out. I have them right here. So, never a fan of running a startup with a ticking time bomb so we can avoid it. Even more so with a bank loan staring at me every day. Elko says, I says pretty much all questions. Oh, I said that actually. So Elko, my friend, he mentioned a bunch of things, and I agreed with most of them. Like he had a bunch of questions like, what did you do last year to get to $150 per month? What did you not do? Is there anything you did last month that might help you the coming months? What do current customers tell you about your current offering, etc., etc.? What about churn trials? So he had a lot of questions, and they were all pointing out to being risky taking this loan. And Dominic said, but it's impossible to predict, and until you're certain to have 2-3 channels of converting customers to focus on, being full time might not help at this moment. So yeah, that was one of the big reasons of not having a proper channel. Yeah. So and then Jamie said, you don't seem to have nearly enough evidence that there's any potential here, and the downside is pretty terrible. Jay says debt is a massive deterrent to do anything in the future. Louis, Louis says something interesting, that when he took out a loan to do something with his startup, he was sure that the product itself, the business itself, would be able to pay back the loan from the business. So not the loan paying back the loan like I was trying to do. And Helen says, honestly, no, I wouldn't recommend taking the loan. It puts you further away from your goal of financial independence, not closer. And then his Helen, she says, having less time on Claritask will mean you have to have laser focus on the things that move the needle and nothing more. So yeah, these were all the things that talked me out of it. I didn't take the loan. I was very happy. Called the bank, said nope, I'm not doing it. They were very excited to give the loan to me. I don't know how they approved me, to be honest. The numbers that I showed them, they're not that great from the client work that I did during the year. But the agent at the bank said he said it's really not a big deal to get a $20,000 loan. Once you start moving up 20,000, then you need to prove a lot of things. So 20s we give them quite easily. So I don't know. It seems very irresponsible from them, just to not filter people out, at, like like more. So yeah. So that's what happened recently, and I launched my page on Patreon since I'm fully bootstrapping. So I'm trying to create new channels of income. I will continue taking client work. As for Claritask, I will continue selling and marketing it more, less building. Building wise, I will focus on bugs, iterations, improvements, fixes, and maybe a feature here and there that is highly requested and that could potentially make a dent. So feature-wise, that's where Claritask ends. It's pretty complete. It works fine for the moment. It does what it's promising to do, but I will focus mostly on marketing and sales. So let me see here. All right, so pricing right now is at $20 per month. So I went down from $90 per month to $29 per month, and there's a reason behind that. Why did I do that? I had first $90. Nobody was saying anything. Nobody was complaining, but I wasn't getting any registrations. When I was talking to someone, a lead, a potential customer, they didn't say anything about the price, but they would sort of stare at me without any reactions, even either if it was offline, me talking to them, or online, there would be a pause. It wouldn't be a rejection. It would be just just a quiet sort of pause. So I took it down all the way to $29 per month for the first 10 people, and then $9 for every 10 other people. So it's basically $1, I think, $1 for the first. For the first 10, it's about $3 per user, and then it goes down to $1 per user. Just testing at this point. I'm not really sure. I might even go lower at 19 per month. I want to move every barrier possible from uh, people's objection to sort of join Claritask. So I don't want the price to be a talking point. I want it to be just an afterthought, if I can. And honestly, I can afford that. So I think for every 100 users, it costs me about $20 in resources, which I feel is a lot. So I can optimize Claritask so it works a bit leaner. But anyway, I'm not going to do that right now. My point is to grow the user base, grow revenue. If I need to increase my servers, my resources, I can do that. So I can still afford having a company of 10 people for $20 per month. I know people say you should charge more, but I had this thought the other day, and in my town here in Pristina, there's a lot of coffee shops. And usually, a couple of my friends actually had coffee shops. And usually, what happens with a coffee shop, when you open a coffee shop, first people that show up are your friends. If they like it, they're going to recommend it to their friends, etc. So my sort of train of thought was, uh, this is what I asked myself. So out of all my network, all the people that I know, online mostly, not offline. So out of all the people that I know, what would they pay? What would be what would they be okay paying for a app like Claritask? Not that they are targeted, my target clients, not that they are potential leads, etc. They don't even use maybe a task management app, or they use a free one, but just to sort of think what my network can afford. Because my network, even if they don't use it, they might recommend me. And when they recommend me to their friends or to somebody that has a company that could use ClariTask, they could potentially not have that as an objection. So say someone goes to their friend and says, "Hey, I know about this tool ClariTask. It's really inexpensive. You can give it a shot. It's like $29 per month or $19 per month, and you should try it if you like it. It's pretty much pocket change for people, for 10 people. So thinking about my network and what people in my network would be able to pay, and what would they be okay recommending ClariTask to others. That was the number that I came up with. It's just an hypothesis. I really don't know if there's any truth in what I'm saying. It's just explaining the train of thought that I had when I did that. So, and I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone in my network that pays $90 for a project management app. And also $90 felt like I have to do a lot of sales calls and a lot of pushing and long cycles, which I can't really afford. And one of my friends said, actually, he's an offline friend. So he said, the good thing about $19 is that when somebody leaves, it's only $19. But if you have like a $50 or $90 client and they leave, and that's a pretty big dent, especially if you're not targeting to have like hundreds of clients. So it's pretty big of a dent. So I'm going with these reasonings for now. We'll see what happens. Right now it's $29 per month for first 10 people. I've also introduced um, a free plan, which is 3 people with 10 projects and one workspace. And the reason I did that is that I want really anyone to use it. Even if they're never going to pay for it, maybe they get a job somewhere and they recommend ClariTask to their boss, and that would be a pretty okay growth channel. So I want to do that. And also, they will help me with feedback. Uh, I can get more information about what they're trying to do, etc., with ClariTask. Excuse me. So that's what I'm going for. Um, yeah. So that's as far as pricing goes. The next in line is that I will try to focus, not try to focus. I will actually focus on this podcast more now that I'm running my Patreon, and I already have about $27 per month in support from 2 patrons, Jason Marot. So I'm very thankful for that, and it's making me more accountable actually to keep up with this. So I will keep up with this, and I had a thought about actually closing my openness with ClariTask and showing the numbers that I have, but I'm actually going to go an extra step and actually share a little bit more of what I'm making from other sources in as I'm running ClariTask. So if I make so the money that I will make for from clients, from consultancy clients, I will share those numbers too, and then I will also share what amount of that money I'm taking to pay myself, and then any other details like expenses of ClariTask, etc. I'm keeping this close for now for patrons uh, on $20 tier. $20 tier will get all the nitty gritty of behind the scenes of my financial life, which is pretty weird just saying it, but yeah, just go. I'll go with an extra step in this transparency thing, and then see how far I can keep it up like that. So I'll share the money that I make from client work, money that I make from ClariTask, Patreon, obviously, which is open. Anyone can see that, and then I will share the expenses. So what I'm paying myself, and then what expenses I have for ClariTask. That's what I will be sharing moving forward. Um, all right, let me see what's next in line here. I'll continue cold emailing these 2 lists that I have of targeted leads, which are leads from Inc. 5,000 companies. I will email those around January 10th, probably, as they come back from holidays. And then I will email a couple of leads that I got from Technology Advice, where I was paying for $60 per lead, and they were non-exclusive. So someone calls Technology Advice, asks them about suggestion from them about the criteria they have about a project management app, and then they shoot that lead to a couple of products like ClariTask, and then it's our job to close it. Excuse me. So I will try to talk to those leads. I think it's about six of them that I have from them, and I stopped it because I'm going to pay $300, and I have a little bit over that in my Claritas bank account. So yeah, that's going to be a bill that I will pay out in January. Um, there were some pretty good companies actually. They're hot leads. However, the biggest sort of thing that I don't like about it is that those leads are shared with I don't know how many other products companies, and then most likely those companies have sales teams. And when I spoke to technology advice, because I wasn't getting emails back from these leads, they said, "Oh, you should try at least 10 times to talk to them. So email, call, leave a message, etc." So you have to be very aggressive with them. And I was like, I don't know, $60. I would have expected to be a little bit more warm. 10, 10 times to contact someone, it's a bit much if I'm paying for it. I could do probably the same with just a lead I find for free online. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a salesperson. I really want to get away as much as I can from sales. Maybe that's one of the reasons I dropped my prices so people upgrade on their own, cancel on their own, and then I can talk to them if I need feedback or some customer development sort of discussions. Um, so yeah, I think that's about it. I'm gonna try two more things I want to share. So health wise, I have started again with intermittent fasting. Can never say that word right. Uh, so right now I'm doing. I did it back in October for 12, which wasn't that hard really. I mean that's what we basically do. And then I moved it to 14, but then I stopped because I couldn't sort of tie it in with my workouts. So I didn't know how. I was didn't have time to read enough on it. So right now I'm doing 16/8. So I'm going 16 hours without eating, but I'm drinking teas, water, coffee, no sugar. And then I'm eating for the other 8 hours, which is kind of hard because I guess I eat a lot, and I see that I have to fit everything in 8 hours, and I find myself eating every hour, every 2 hours I'm eating. So today I had like three big meals, breakfast, snacks, but all healthy. I'm trying to stay, but I'm not reading on it yet. I know some things about it, and I will try to read a little bit more and see how to tie it in with my workouts. But I love it. Sleeping on an empty stomach, it's so great. Waking up on an empty stomach, it's lighter. I don't really don't feel hungry. Just that I want to get my calories in. I don't want my muscles to go down if I'm going to be working out. I don't want to lose muscle, so that would be detrimental to what I'm trying to do. So no sugar, no snacks, no processed stuff of any kind, as much as I can. Also, another thing that I'm trying to do now that I'm fully bootstrapping, trying to save, trying to be very stingy. I'm going to try and go with $0 per day and stuff that I would normally buy when I go to work, like coffees, eating out, etc. So I'll take my lunch to work, prepare it at home. So pretty much eat and drink everything that's in my fridge at home, and drink coffee that I have at my co-working space in my drawer, and then spend $0 per day on stuff that I was spending before, because I would spend a lot. I would buy a coffee, uh, maybe two, and then eat out, just spend without control. But now that I really want to make Claritask work with the money that I make from client work, I really want to save, because the more I save, the longer I can stay without client work and focus on Claritask, on marketing, sales initially. So yeah, so that's all for the show today. Probably went. Oh, okay. So it's 30 minutes. I thought, yeah, I've been speaking for about an hour. I felt boring to myself. I hope I didn't bore you. So a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters: Jace Richardson, repoguard.com, Merot Mohavedi, who is the first actually support on Patreon. He runs Zebul.com. It's spelled with an X. Everything will be on the show notes. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/bootsass.